that I am going to end as a fluent person was my goal. Let me focus on speaking other than writing or other than my grades. I'm not saying that don't study. I am saying that look at the end goal. For what reason are you studying the language? The language learner, there were some fears that I had, and then I was able to overcome them. I know so many language learners have these fears, and I'm going to tell you in this video what fears I had as a language learner and how I was able to overcome them. Come with me. So my second thing was vocabulary. I was just thinking, if I have just started to study Spanish, how many vocabulary do I have to learn before I can be fluent? Like I just thought, look at English language, even the English language I'm speaking, look at the number of words I speak out every day. If I would have to speak the same number of words in Spanish or in French every day, I just thought, how many words do I have to learn? But what I did was to do it one day at a time. Whilst you read books, you learn more vocabulary. Whilst you speak with people, you learn more vocabulary. Once you watch movies, you learn more vocabulary. As you go to class, you learn more vocabulary. When you you watch YouTube videos, you learn more vocabulary. There's vocabulary everywhere. All you have to do is just to put yourself in the place where you're going to see the language every day. So it's not like because you go to class today and then you study, say, adverbs. And then after you study adverbs today, you just close your book and then you go sleep. No. Once every day, let's say you're watching a movie and then you see someone use lentamente or you see someone use doucement. Then you learn that word over there. So always you are in contact with the language. Get it? Another big thing was grammar. Grammar was a fear. Especially when it came to conjugations, you're not going to see subjunctives. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just so much for me to bear. So what do I have to do in order to overcome the grammar fright? Grammar is a fright for everyone, especially when it comes to conjugation. One thing about it is that you can sit in the class and then they'll teach you the forms. For example, when you're doing the future tense in French, you use the infinitive form and then you add your a, you add your a. So for example, you have parler and you want to conjugate it in the future tense, and then you have je parlerai, tu parleras, things like that. Because it's something like calculation. So okay, I just have to use parler and then I'll add my endings to it. You can do all that calculation. But mind you, now when it comes outside the class, if you have to produce them, now it becomes a big hurdle because you start to think of all the grammar rules and am I not going to think of all these grammar rules and I'm trying to produce them? Or sometimes you can do very well in the calculations. I mean, doing all the conjugations in class, they call this thing gender number agreement. You can do all that. But now when you sit in the exam room, it's like you don't know why you make mistakes. Or even when you're given an exercise or an assignment, you just don't know why you make mistakes. And that was a big hurdle. So, what I did to overcome that challenge was after I am taught that grammar that very day, I have to go over it. Because grammar works in a way that it has to stick in your mind. So let's say you go to class today and then you learn about, as I said, conjugation in the future tense. Or future is a bit simple. Let's use subjunctive. Now subjunctive, goes with a lot of thinking and everything. And now you do subjunctive, and then you go home, you go to sleep, and for a week you don't go back to subjunctive. So you imagine what's going to happen. Now when you go back to take it, everything now be so many in your mind. You're like, oh, it's difficult, I can't do this. But honestly, what you have to do is to work it out like math. When it comes to things like, conjugations, you work it out like math. Passé composé, for example, I have to use être or avoir, plus the participe passé. So you have to do all that. It's like you're doing math. So the way math, we're always told by our teachers that math has to be practiced every day. We have to practice it every day. If you don't practice, you forget. It's the same thing. When you see conjugations like math and then you try to, work on it every single day, that will help you to retain whatever you've learned. Other than learning it and sleeping over it, the speaking aspect is very important where you also speak out whatever you learn. But you make sure that after each class, go back and sit down and read with them. You can watch YouTube videos on whatever you have learned in class. Yes, you did learn that in class, but go again, watch a YouTube video again, refresh your mind again on that particular topic that you've learned. And that was what helped me to overcome my grammar fright. Of course, I did other things like, movies, songs. They also helped me with grammar. Because, mind you, the grammar you learn in class is going to be used in a sentence. So you have to know how it is used freely in a real context. So that helps, because sometimes you can learn all the calculations and everything, and then when it's time to speak, it's just not coming. You are also trying to do the math at that point where you have to speak, and it becomes difficult. Yeah, I hope this has helped you. If you can relate to any of them, just drop it in the comment section. I would love to know which of them, or which of my challenges or my fears is also your biggest fear, and let me know if I've been able to help you in one way or the other. Let me also know what you would like to hear about my language learning journey, and then I'll do it for you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with your friends, anyone who you know is learning the language, so that we do not end up on the way, because there are more opportunities out there if you learn a language. Peace out.